So in this video, I'll be sharing with you some brand new information that calls into question two previously discussed eyewitness accounts. Now, for many years, there's been a lot of speculation about a second Range Rover and its potential involvement in the murders of Tucker, Tate and Rolfe. In this video, I'm going to take you through two of those eyewitness accounts, one from December the 1st, just 5 days before the murders, and one which is from the morning of December the 6th, just hours before Tucker, Tate and Rolfe were killed. As we move through these police statements based on this new information, I'm then going to reveal who I believe may have owned this second Range Rover. Firstly, let's take a look at the following police statement. The following police statement is from Neil Randall Crawleymore, dated the 12th of the 1st, 1996. I am the above described person, and I am a farmer resident at the address Overleaf with my wife and young son and stepdaughter. On Friday the 1st of December 95, I left my home address driving my wife's Daihatsu 4-track, my intention to drive to the Thetford area for a business meeting. En route, I stopped off at a Little Chef restaurant, which is off the A14 junction with the A140, arriving at around 9:15 a.m. I was to meet a business associate from PIC, Pig Improvement Company, at this location, but arrived early. I sat in my car for a while and noticed a Range Rover vehicle which I believe was coloured metallic blue, parked by the side of me in a parking bay outside the restaurant. There was 3 male persons in the vehicle, 2 in the front and 1 in the back, who I can describe as follows. Driver, male 1, white, between 30 to 40 years of age, 6 foot tall, medium build, dark brown hair, short tidy style, clean shaven, wearing a V-neck green long sleeve jumper and trousers. Front passenger, male 2, white, between 30 to 40 years of age, 6 foot tall and large build, possibly fat, short ear-length hair, slightly curly and greying, clean shaven, wearing a light brown leather bomber jacket and jeans. Rear passenger, male 3, white, between 30 to 40 years of age, large build, short dark hair, clean shaven, 6 foot 2 tall, wearing a light coloured suit, who I would describe as looking like a business person. I would say all of these individuals looked as if they could handle themselves. While I watched them, male 3 was leaning forward speaking to the 2 in the front. A short time later, male 3 got out of the vehicle and changed places with male 1, the driver, and they all appeared to be looking at something on the back seat. Male 2 then got into the back seat and male 3 got into the front passenger seat, at which time they appeared to begin arguing over what was on the back seat. This carried on till around 10 o'clock when my colleague arrived and we both went in for breakfast. When we came out at around 10:30 hours, they and the vehicle had gone. I have not seen either of these persons before this incident or seen any pictures of them since, in the newspapers or on television. Okay, so it's important to remember here that this eyewitness account took place 5 days before the murders of Tucker, Tate and Rolfe. And one of the key points to remember here is that this guy is basically saying the people that I saw, the vehicle that I saw, it wasn't Tucker, Tate and Rolfe. Because on the first listen to this, you think to yourself, hang on a minute. Is this Tucker, Tate and Rolfe in the Range Rover, arguing about something on the back seat, maybe with a different individual wearing a business suit? Is that possible? But take a listen to what he says at the end of his statement here. I have not seen either of these persons before this incident or seen any pictures of them since, in the newspapers or on television. Now, we know, don't we, that this crime, these murders, were widely publicised. This wasn't just local news, it was national news up and down the country. And not only was it on every front page of the mainstream newspapers, they even did a Crime Watch programme, was it Crime Watch Weekly or Crime Watch Monthly, where they did a full reconstruction concerning the murders of Tucker, Tate and Rolfe. And this guy's basically saying, no, I don't recognise them. I haven't seen these individuals who I saw at the Little Chef before the murders, and I certainly haven't seen them afterwards, whether that's in a newspaper or on television. So we can say with a fair deal of certainty, can't we, that the people that this guy witnessed were not Tucker, Tate and Rolfe. So then we take a look back at the location. So again, it's 2 miles away from Jack Wome's workplace and also where these supposedly very important phone calls take place on the afternoon of December the 6th, the Sorrel Horse Inn. So let's pull up the telephone evidence here. We've got 14:29, 2:30 in the afternoon. The payphone from the Sorrel Horse Inn, just 2 miles from where this eyewitness account takes place at the Little Chef. The Sorrel Horse Inn is calling Tony Tucker's mobile. And then we've got 14:32, the payphone at the Sorrel Horse Inn again, to a payphone. Let's just have a look, move it over here. Payphone on Timberlog Lane. Now, we know that Tucker, Tate and Rolfe were hanging around Timberlog Lane because Tucker at some stage during the afternoon of December the 6th popped into a carpet shop on Timberlog Lane to pay an outstanding bill. So that makes sense. Then the next time period, let's move it along. Again, 14:32, the same minute. The payphone at the Sorrel Horse Inn, again to Tucker's mobile. The payphone at the Sorrel Horse Inn at 14:52 to good old Darren Nichols. So, is it beyond the realms of possibility, and this is going to sound a little bit strange until I reveal the last part, but could it be Jack Womes in this Range Rover? Now you're going to say to yourself, in a Range Rover? No. What do you mean, in a Range Rover? Well, we'll come to that in a minute. But I'm going to suggest that this isn't Tucker, Tate and Rolfe in a Range Rover. It's actually Jack Womes with some other individuals. Now, it could be Jack Womes. It could be someone completely unconnected with these murders. And I want to make that perfectly clear. All of these eyewitness accounts could be completely unconnected to the murders of Tucker, Tate and Rolfe. But there's some very interesting parallels here. The fact that we've got a number of suspicious looking individuals, possibly matching the description of Steele, Womes or Nichols, hanging around or having some sort of meeting with someone in a business suit. There's some sort of argument that takes place regarding something on the back seat. Is that a weapon? Is that a shotgun? Is that a consignment of drugs, a product? I don't know. But what are the chances? Let's just say, for instance, what are the chances of Jack Womes owning a blue Range Rover, right? Very similar to that, driven by Tucker, Tate and Rolfe. What are the chances? Well, it's reality. Take a listen to the following. So the document that you see in front of you here, this is the judge's summing up from the trial of Jack Womes and Michael Steele from the Old Bailey back in good old 1998. Now, the judge at this stage is taking the jury through the entirety of the evidence. And the judge states the following here. As to the rib, Steele said he had a plan to put the rib into the water later that day, the 7th of November. It was kept at Jack Womes' yard at Barham. He travelled there in a Renault 21 with Peter Corey. Womes was there, and all three of us had planned seriously to take the boat out. We were well equipped with the proper clothing. Jack had his blue Range Rover. Now, it's come to my attention that this Range Rover is a C-Reg, which would make it an 85/86 year of vintage. Now, let's pull up a photograph of this specific type of vehicle, and I'm sure you'll agree it bears a striking resemblance to the same vehicle driven by Tucker, Tate and Rolfe. We also know, through this summing up process, that Jack's Range Rover has distinct links with G&T commercials. He would drive it there frequently, he would work on it frequently at this location, and it's just 2 miles from where this eyewitness account took place at the Little Chef restaurant. And also, as I stated there earlier, the important calls from the Sorrel Horse Inn. So these three individuals arguing inside this Range Rover, looking at something on the back seat, the man dressed in a business suit, 5 days before the murders of Tucker, Tate and Rolfe. Is this just a mere coincidence? Is this either Womes, Steele or Nichols with someone else? Are they arguing about the gun, the shotgun, the money, the drugs, a product? I don't know. As I stated earlier, this may well not be. It might not be Jack Womes. This could be someone completely different. But we can only go on the evidence, can't we? And the evidence is quite, how do we say, compelling. Let's just zoom in here Little Chef Restaurant, 2 miles straight down the road from G&T Commercial's Jack Wome's workplace, the Sorrel Horse Inn, where those very important calls originate on the day that Tucker, Tate and Rolfe are killed. So, as I say, was this Jack Wome's? Was this Jack Wome's in the Range Rover, or either Wome's, Nichols or Steele talking to someone in a business suit? There's some sort of argument about what's on the back seat. Now, for me, that's Jack Wome's. That has to be Jack Wome's. I mean, in this summing up, it's also mentioned that Jack Wome's brother David also purchased a Range Rover in October of 1995. So Jack Wome's has a blue, quite potentially C registration Range Rover, very similar in appearance to that driven by Tucker, Tate and Rolfe. He happens to work just 2 miles as the crow flies from where this very strange eyewitness account transpires on December the 1st at the Little Chef. Again, is this connected to the murders? Now, armed with this new information regarding Jack's blue Range Rover, let's revisit another eyewitness account, but this time from December the 6th, the day that Tucker, Tate and Rolfe were killed. Take a listen to the following. The following police statement is from Sean Kevin Morgan, dated the 22nd of the 2nd, 1996. I'm an area manager for the Co-op Chemist, and as part of my role I travel around all of South Essex. On the 7th of December 95, as a result of media coverage about the murders of a group of men in a Range Rover at Rettendon Essex, I contacted police regarding a vehicle I had seen on December 6th. I know it was the 6th as it was the day before the news reports of the murders. I recall that at about 9:30 a.m. that morning, I was travelling from Tiptree towards the A12 Colchester bound in my car, a blue-green Vauxhall Cavalier, registration number N5470 Charlie November, along a road which passes Rivenhall End and joins the A12. Whilst travelling along this road, I crossed a small bridge before meeting the A12 junction. I recall at this time there was quite a bit of traffic due to restricted passing on the bridge, and I was travelling slowly. I remember seeing a blue Range Rover parked on the right-hand side of the road in a track which I believe led to fields and a farm. This track was situated near a bend in the road after you crossed the bridge, heading towards the A12. As I passed the vehicle, I was aware that there were a lot of people in it. I could see there was 2 men in the front and also men in the back, but I cannot describe them any further than that. I recall the driver of the Range Rover was wearing a light-coloured top. It was this male I remember was looking at my general direction, and it looked like he was following me with his eyes as I drove past them. Because of this, I looked away. I can only add that these men were not old men, but middle-aged. I then drove past them around the bend towards the A12. I never saw them again. At the time of passing the vehicle, I was about 20 feet away, and the weather was fine and clear. I wish to add that I have seen footage of the Range Rover involved in the murders being taken away from the scene by police. It was seeing this Range Rover, and that it was similar to the one that I had seen on December the 6th, that prompted me to call police. I'm unable to give any further details of the vehicle or the persons inside it, other than that the vehicle was facing towards the road and was parked up and not waiting to pull out, as there was plenty of gaps. It was my belief that they were waiting for someone or something. I know it was around 9:30 a.m. or thereabouts, as I left home in Tolson Major around 9:15 hours, and it was about 15 minutes to get to that location. Okay, now again, blue Range Rover, multiple occupants seen acting suspiciously on the day that Tucker, Tate and Rolfe were killed. Most people will think to themselves, is this Tucker, Tate and Rolfe in that vehicle? But again, we went back to the telephone evidence, didn't we, in a previous episode? And it would appear that this is not Tucker, Tate and Rolfe. Take a look at the following here. 9:02 in the morning, Tucker's mobile to Rolfe's landline, suggesting that Craig Rolfe during this time period is most likely indoors. 9:20 a.m, Tate's landline to Tucker's mobile, suggesting that Pat Tate also is most likely indoors. 9:26 a.m, Tate's landline again to Rolfe's landline. 9:55, Tucker's mobile to Donna Garwood. So out of the 3 individuals, it's only Tucker who is out and about. He's using his mobile phone. Tate and Rolfe appear to be indoors. So you would say on the balance of probability, as I stated in a previous episode, this is most likely not Tucker, Tate or Rolfe. But interestingly, two people or three individuals, I should say, who aren't communicating, who aren't using their mobile phones during this time period is Michael Steele, Jack Womes and Darren Nichols. Now, Darren Nichols, by all accounts, is at work. But we can't account, can we? We can't account for where Michael Steele is or where Jack Womes is. And it makes me wonder, based on this new information that Jack Womes had a blue Range Rover, is it beyond the realms of possibility that this is Womes and Steele, possibly some other individual, looking for a suitable lane to lure Tucker, Tate and Rolfe? Because one of the things that stood out to me personally is where this Range Rover sighting took place. Its proximity here to Marks Tay. Now, Marks Tay we know is important due to Darren Nichols claiming that this was the meeting point on the evening of December the 6th. And you'll see here, it's around about a 6-mile drive, just straight up that road, up the A12 to Marks Tay. Now, is it beyond the realms of possibility that this is Womes and Steele scoping out a lane? They're not on their mobile phones. They're not communicating from home during his time period. It could well be Jack Womes in the blue Range Rover. Again, it could be completely unconnected. But if it is connected to these murders, then this could well be Jack Womes. Now, before we bring this particular episode to its conclusion, something that did draw my attention, or catch my attention, I should say, in terms of where this eyewitness account took place, is its location and its proximity to the A12. And I think I touched upon this briefly in a previous episode. It made me wonder, okay, were they looking for somewhere remote, somewhere quiet, somewhere dark to lure Tucker, Tate and Rolfe? But it also had to be somewhere close to a main A road, somewhere where they could make good their escape. Because this location here does share some similarities in comparison with the actual crime scene down in Rettendon. Now, we've got this location here, 9:30 in the morning on December the 6th, just a stone's throw from the A12, a farm track right near a main A road. We move down to Rettendon, we've got a very similar set of circumstances. You've got Workhouse Lane that takes you to the bottom of that lane by the locked 5-bar gate where Tucker, Tate and Rolfe's bodies were discovered. And Workhouse Lane back in 1995 came straight back out onto the A130, the main through road through to Southend back in 1995. So was that factored into the equation? For whatever reason, this particular lane here wasn't used. They chose somewhere different. I don't know. Anyway, do let me know some of your own thoughts down in the comments section below. Do you believe that Womes, Steele and Nichols at the very, very least had some prior knowledge of what was about to take place concerning Tucker, Tate and Rolfe? Maybe they lured these individuals to their ultimate demise, or maybe this Range Rover, these eyewitness sightings are simply a mere coincidence. Do let me know some of your own thoughts down in the comments section below.